obviously budget is a thing for everybody, and that's totally understandable. And I say, like, when I think about it, I'm like, pick your top 2 things that you're like willing to really kind of spend a little more on. Personally, I would think it would be photography and venue, because that's what everybody's going to see. That's what you're going to look back on.
Welcome to the Colorado Wedding Podcast, the ultimate place to plan your Colorado wedding.
From luxury weddings to intimate elopements, we'll guide you through planning your wedding in the beautiful state of Colorado.
We're your hosts, Josh
And Brian.
and we're here to give you insider tips and advice from all kinds of Colorado wedding experts.
Join us and discover the best ways to reduce wedding stress and design your unique wedding day.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Brian from the Colorado Wedding Podcast. Today we have an awesome guest, Rachel Speight, and she runs the Venue on the Rocks in Estes Park. So, Rachel, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got started with the venue?
Yes, thank you for having me. So my best friend owns the coffee shop, or originally a coffee shop, Coffee on the Rocks. She came to me and said, hey, I have a place for a venue, because I've always wanted to own my own venue. So she's like, if you want to turn it into venue, run with it. I'm not willing to run the venue part of it, so here you go. So I ran with it.
That's so awesome. And you guys have like such a beautiful location up here in Estes Park. And if you guys go to the video of this, you can see we're going to take some amazing shots. We're like right here in the mountains. Like, what are you, 5 minutes from Rocky Mountain National Park, if that?
Yep, if that. It's like 2 blocks up, and then we're right on the river. It's a river. We have our own private access to the river. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and that's a super cool story. I mean, I don't think that most people like start a venue. You're not like the one who starts. Like, we don't talk to a lot of people like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's a unique place. It's our little like safe haven. I call it our little sea pig, and we're just tucked away, and most people don't even know we're here. So
yeah, I think that's true, and they will, because it's amazing. So today we're going to talk about just kind of some advice from someone who runs a venue. Especially, you have control of like the entire venue, and we were talking a little bit before this about how venues are different, right? Like some venues are, I don't want to say like cookie cutter, that's kind of mean, but they have a certain structure, right? And you're saying that you guys are different, right?
So I'd say, I like to explain it as there's some that are like a one-stop shop. We are not one-stop shop, which some people like a one-stop shop because they want to not have to do as much, I guess you could say. I don't want to put it in a bad way, but they want, everything just kind of done already. Yep. Caterers, photographers, florists included, and we're not that. You can bring in any vendors, like any photographer, florist, catering. We don't care who you bring. We want it to be your wedding, not ours.
Yeah.
But our alcohol is our only thing, just because we have a liquor license. But other than that, like, we want people to have the freedom to, make it their own wedding. And nowadays I feel like weddings are just getting so unique. But everybody wants to do something a little different, not so like traditional, I guess you could say. And I would say we are very different venue than most of the traditional ones, or older ones that have been going for a while, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would say we're very unique in that sense.
Yeah, and I think like we always talk about in the podcast, like we want to reduce the brides and groom's stress on the wedding day.
Right.
And like if you're stressed, you're not gonna have a good time, and it's costs a lot of money for a wedding, and like I don't want to say you're wasting that money, but that could be a lot. And so if you're a person who is stressed out by being kind of pigeonholed into a certain structure where you have the same timeline as everybody else,
right?
And if that's your type of person, then your venue is a great option, right?
I would say so. Yeah, and the food, I'd have chicken strips at my wedding if it were me. Like, I want people to just, I tell everybody that asks, I'm like, it's your wedding, not mine. So like, bring whatever you want. We don't care. And as I run it, I help really. You tell me like, what theater you brought in, like It's not a one-stop shop, but I'm there to help you. I'm there to guide you if you need help. That's just how I am, because I want it to go perfect for you. So in a sense, if you just get what you want, or I can give you ideas. I mean, I know a lot of connections because of the venue.
Yeah.
So we're not a one-stop shop, but I can make it a one-stop shop for you if you really want. But I'd like people to kind of get creative in their own way and make it their own.
That's so cool. So let's kind of start with that and talk about like your advice. I know that you and I talking that you love the uniqueness of weddings, right? There can be weddings that are completely different from another and both be awesome, right? And we talk about that as a photographer. I always think about, like, I dream of doing that engagement shoot where they want to go rock climbing, or they want to wear certain outfits that really appeal to them. And I think that people are are probably a little scared to do that, right? I'm
Right.
sure you've experienced
I
that.
think so, and it's so fun here though because the options are endless. Like I said, like we could be your Pinterest that you're keeping and saving that you're getting, however the
Yeah.
cards. You can do that here. Like I mean, we give you the freedom too. We really are very lenient about what you do, but like the scenery here, yes, you might not need much decor because the scenery here speaks for itself. But if you are one of those people that wants to go all out, you can, and you can literally make this place like the Pinterest wedding you've always dreamed of having. You can get on the river, which is fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's different. Like the photos on the river are beautiful if you're willing to get on the
Yeah,
river.
for sure.
It's just different. It's not like your typical venue in town or a bar in a bar. And we're not like that either. I mean, we're literally just in the mountains on the river. It's as Estes Park, Rocky Mountain as you could get. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so for our brides that like aren't in the Estes Park area, right? So I mean, Colorado's massive.
Yeah.
We know there's so many beautiful locations. Like we're super blessed to have this crazy state that has so much cool stuff. So if a bride or a groom are planning their wedding and they have a place like yours that's very open and flexible, do you have any advice to like for them how to make it unique or how to kind of start with a blank canvas and like things that they should kind of plan to make it unique?
Yeah, I would say, figure out, obviously budget is a thing for everybody and that's totally understandable. And I say, like, when I think about it, I'm like, pick your top 2 things that you're like willing to really kind of spend a little more on. Personally, I would think it would be photography and venue because that's what everybody's going to see. That's what you're going to look back on. And that's what you're going to look back on the food. You don't even remember what you eat most of the time. Like, so I would go from there. But like, advice for me is I like to decorate things. That's just how I am. I love flowers. But we also do have a ton of flowers here already just as a venue. It's just that mountain kind of, we like to have flowers.
Yeah.
The budget every year, gonna spend about probably $8,000 on flowers for the summer. So, but my advice, yes, I'd say pick your top 2 you need to budget that you want to spend a little more on. And I just think photography and venue because photography captures where you're at and the venue is where you're at. So, and that's what you're going to look back on Colorado. So that's why one big piece of advice is kind of budget your top 2 that you really want to kind of spend a little more on.
Okay, I think that's great advice because you can't spend money on everything.
Nope.
Maybe some people can, and if you can, great, awesome. That's do you, right? We always say that, do your thing. So I think that's great advice for people who have a budget is to kind of focus on the things that they know they're going to put money towards,
Right.
and then kind of look at the other stuff and fill that in as much as they can financially, right? So what about when they have really cool ideas? Like if you had someone that came to you and had this amazing wedding idea that was completely unique, and it was a big vision, I know that you'd be excited about that, right?
I love it.
What do you think would be their next steps to plan out? Like, do you think that a wedding planner would help, or just day of, or how do you feel about that kind of stuff?
I would say wedding planner. Also, I don't know if you necessarily need a wedding planner for a whole month. I'd say more like no more than a month. I'd say the month before, you get, because there are a bunch of wedding planners that will do every day of or a couple weeks out or a month out instead of like the whole year of planning, which adds up. But like that month out, you just get them in. They're so talented at what they do.
Yeah.
You give them your vision and they run with it. So you give them your vision, and if you do that a month out, but I do a lot of like myself. I'm not a wedding planner, but like just because I run the venue, I end up planning a lot when I really I do it anyways because I love it. But yeah, if they came to me with an idea, I'd probably run with them on it and help them with it because I would love somebody to come here and deck this place out.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Our ceremony spot is not in the same spot as our reception. So
Okay.
that's nice. You don't have to do technically they would call it a room flex since we're an outdoor venue only.
Sure.
But you don't have to you don't have to wait to use the space where your ceremony was for your reception.
Yeah.
So you could probably the ceremony area always is out down next to the river with the backdrop being the mountain.
Yeah.
You could deck that out with flowers. I would say lights if you want.
Yeah.
Anything you can think of, and do here because we'd love it. I would love it, and I would probably help you with it. Honestly.
No, I think that's so awesome. And I just want to jump in for Rachel here because I think that, like she said, she isn't a planner, but people that run venues do a ton of planning. So I just want, not just you, but everybody who runs venues, even if you're not a planner and you're not including that in a package at a venue, they are doing so much work behind the scenes. And so that means helping with decorations and making sure your day is going super amazing. So when you're looking for a venue, I don't know if you'd speak up for yourself for this, but that chemistry you have with the venue is super important.
Right.
And me as a photographer and videographer, I see venues like you that are very flexible and they are willing to help, and that can make your day so much less stressful.
Right.
By having someone who's just like, yeah, let's do that, that's so
Yeah.
cool, versus having certain places. I don't want to mention any certain places right now, but there are venues who just say they're kind of a no before a yes.
Yeah.
And so I just want to vouch for you guys and anybody else like you out there, any other venues like there that kind of run it that way, because there's so much work being done there. So
Oh, yeah.
that's just advice to anybody planning a wedding is
Yeah.
when you're walking through the venue, if they say, hey, yes, you can do this. Yeah, you can totally do that. Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. Take that to heart and trust your gut, because that is such a cool
I
thing.
end up giving more ideas. I'm like, what about this?
Yes.
So bad because I just love. I'm just
So bad for you, but great for them.
It's great for them. I'm passionate about it, but this is my baby. So,
Yes.
you know, I have endless ideas for this place. So if you budget it, I would so help you with it.
Yes,
It's just
so-
what I like.
Like I said, I just want to vouch for people like you, and especially you, because like there's so much work being done by the venue, even if you do have a planner. So, and usually they're working together as a team, which makes everything.
Right.
So one other question I have about just kind of advice is, so on your wedding day, and you have, say you do have you've designed a wedding that is maybe a little bit different, or you've planned a certain design. What do you think is the best way to communicate with the venue to make sure that that could be chaos, right? Like say you have a million pieces of design.
Yeah.
That's amazing once it gets finished, but what's the best way to communicate with someone like you to make sure that all of that stays organized and that it's not adding stress to the day?
Right. So I love to keep everything on email. Some people love to start texting me, and I'm like, oh, I got it. Like I keep everything with the venue organized through email. It's my easiest way because I can go search it. But I would say email me everything. I want to know who your caterer is. I want to know who your florist is, because I want to be in contact with them, because I don't want those vendors come in and think, we don't have our stuff together here. Like I want everything organized so it's easy for not just the bride and groom, but for all the vendors that are included as well that are coming, because it's just smooth operation. If everybody is on track and I can help with that because we are the venue, I like that. I'm not trying to control it by any means.
Sure.
I just want to make sure everybody knows where to be, where to go when they get here to the venue. Or like my staff that works the weddings, they all know everything, so then I can give them all the info if I'm not here, because I'm not at every wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if they just communicate and say this is who is going to be, spreadsheets sound crazy, but they're great.
Yeah.
Caterer, time they're going to be here, what they need, because a lot of caterers that come to our venue, like they won't bring tables, so they want our tables. They need linens. They need that. So it's nice to know everything. So last minute, we're not like, I want to communicate.
Yes.
Communication. Really, because communication is key.
Yeah.
So if you can just give me everything, even a week out, that's fine. Because some people
preferably more, though.
Yeah, preferably more. But even a week out, I'm like, that would be great, just to have, who's doing this, who's doing that. So then I know who's coming, and a lot of times I've worked with them already. So then it's just easy. I just shoot them a text. I'm like, oh, so glad you're coming to the venue, theater at the venue. I know if you need anything, but you know the drill. Just use whatever you want. This place, our home is your home, really.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it with the venue. Is our place is your place for the day. So just do what you need.
Yeah. And as a vendor myself, when I'm doing photos or doing video, I always talk to the venue, even if I can't do it until, like you said, a week before,
Right.
just letting them know, like, hey, this is kind of what we're looking at, with some good spots, like, especially if we haven't shot there before, what's some good spots. So that's just a note, just from the two of us, and I'm sure all of the vendors would say the same. And this might even be a red flag if vendors don't do this, which is if they don't communicate it, if they don't ask, like, hey, can we talk to the planner? Hey, can we talk to the venue?
Yeah.
Or as a photographer, hey, can I talk to the videographer, or vice versa?
Yeah.
We want, especially as a venue, I'm sure it sounds like it's really important to you that the vendors reply back. And that,
nice,
because I know how much it's so weird to show up in the day and be like, oh, who are you? Oh, you're the DJ, or oh, who are you? You're the caterer, or whatever.
Right.
Because if you haven't communicated before that means all that communication has to be done day of, which is just, it's going to be a crazy day, even when it's organized, right? So, that's just another note to anybody planning a wedding, that if you see vendors that don't communicate well, if they're not communicating well with you, they're probably not communicating well with the venue,
Right.
planner, etc.
Yeah.
So I think that's an awesome point to just like make sure that you're talking to everybody, because it even with planning, it's still some chaos. And right. And we don't want to. I'm sure, like you probably don't want to go to the bride and groom on the day of and be like, hey, how do you want this? Hey, how do you want this? Hey, how do you want this? Right?
And I have a fair share amount of those, just because a lot of the times I've had a fair share of bride and grooms that end up putting a family member as a planner,
Yes.
and that's hard because that just, they see it their way and not the bride and groom's way. So I mean, I would advise somebody to get a day coordinator, somebody that is not related to them and can really just kind of boss people around, actually, without feeling bad.
Yeah.
Because you need that person that's up top and just saying, this needs that, this needs to be there, and not so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, but still, with the
Yeah, and good planners are super valuable.
Yeah.
And we've gotten flack for this on social media a little bit already, just saying like, hey, if you can hire a planner, that'd be great. And we know it's an additional part of your budget. So,
Right.
I mean, you guys, anyone who's listening, like, you can hear us that we're not saying that everybody has to get one. We know it's another expense.
Yeah.
But it also is valuable.
It's worth it.
Yes.
I would say it's worth it. It just helps things go so much easy, I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. Less stress on the bride and groom, less stress on really anybody involved.
Yes.
In the wedding party, all the vendors, it helps.
Yeah.
Everything else, I understand it is something. I see a lot of brides that are like, that's at the bottom of their budget. But they're like, well, we don't need that. But then a family member ends up getting put in charge, and it's chaos.
Yes. And we actually talked about that in another episode, is if you are going to pick someone, they probably shouldn't be super involved in the wedding. So like a mom, a sister, or even a friend who is involved. If they're a bridesmaid, that's a no-go. If they have other stuff to do on the wedding day, it is a lot to ask. Even if they say they want to do it, it can really make their day just, it's like when you're at work, like you're just focusing on your task and you're not really enjoying the day.
Right.
So again, anyone out there, if you can't afford it, we totally understand. Look, I'm not rich, you're not rich. Like we totally get it. If I was planning my wedding again, I'd be stressed out about hiring someone to plan it, but they can make every other vendor better.
Right.
And so again, maybe we're vouching for now we're vouching for everybody, but vouching for the other wedding planners and day of coordinators out there.
I really do. They're little miracle workers. So
Yeah.
I love when they come and they're like, here's the deal. It's hopeful, but and I've actually thought of just starting to do coordinating. I already kind of do.
Yeah.
So maybe 2024, I will just say, hey, what, if you want, it will be extra though, because it's a lot longer.
Totally.
But I've considered it. Mike Carter, the owner of the coffee shop, she's like, you really just need to do it. You're doing it anyways. And I'm like, I know, but I'm too nice. I really am.
And there are a lot of venues out there that do that. So no matter where you live in Colorado, no matter where you're planning your wedding, you can usually find a venue that includes at least a day of coordinator, if not a month or even a full coordinator.
Right.
And there is an advantage to that too, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the advantages as far as like if it's someone who works for the venue, there's just less emails, less.
Know everything. I mean, like I said, this is my baby. I know everything like the back of my hand. So. And all the staff, and I know a lot of the vendors that are coming to our place in Estes. You have a lot of local people lately, but it's just I know this place like the back of my hand, and I already am over the staff here. So it might be valuable. We'll see. It might be the future. I'm confident.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if Rachel offers it, just take it. Just do it. Pay the extra money. But yeah, so, I think so. Just kind of recap, you've given such awesome advice today. And I think to recap, it's just making sure, I think communication kind of covered a lot of those things. But yeah, when you're planning, be unique.
Oh yeah.
The most memorable wedding days that I've shot are the ones where they said, you know what, we're doing away with this tradition, or we're doing this tradition in a different way, or we're doing something. Yes. And I think that is such a cool thing and an opportunity that there are venues like yours. Yes. So like Venue on the Rocks, there are places where you're allowed to do those sort of things. So if you are interested in having a unique day that's totally different, look for those type of venues.
Right. Yes.
And I can't emphasize that enough. And if you're not, totally fine, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And there's a venue for everybody.
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, we all want you to be happy. Yeah. Yes, and as a photographer, the photos are better when you're happy. Yeah. So selfishly, but Rachel, what's the best place if someone wants to come and tour your venue or tour Venue on the Rocks? Where's the best place to find you or where to go?
So you can go to our website, it's coffeeontherocks.org because we are Coffee on the Rocks
Yeah.
and Venue on the
Yeah.
Rocks. Some people get that confused, but we're the same. Or you can go to our Instagram, which is Venue on the Rocks _CO.
Okay, so at venue on the rocks _CO.
I think I
Yes.
had to double check.
And that way you can get a look at what the
Yeah.
venue looks
I
like.
post a lot on it. I run everything. So if you're emailing, it's coming to me. If you're messaging on Instagram, it's
Yeah.
coming to me. If you want to call me, call me. That's how personable we are. We're family and locally owned. So like, it's not corporate, nothing like that.
Yes.
I'd love to talk to you, instead of just email. That's great. Whatever
Yeah.
makes you happy. We're just humans, So
Yeah, and if you're planning a wedding and you're in Estes or you're in Rocky Mountain National Park, make sure to email ahead and take a tour of the venue because it is beautiful out here.
or
So
stop by and get coffee at the coffee
yeah,
shop.
yes, and the coffee shop is amazing. So, well, Rachel, thank you so much for giving some advice to our brides and grooms out there planning weddings, or anybody else, I guess. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Colorado Wedding Podcast.
We hope you found our tips insightful for planning your Colorado wedding.
For all the free wedding planning tools, checklists, and guides, go to coloradoweddingguides.com.
Don't forget to rate us on Apple and Spotify, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at CO Wedding Podcast.
We appreciate you and hope you have the best wedding possible.
See you next time.